Welcome to That Don't Sound Right. That Don't Sound Right is a podcast about talking the way we did before the internet, when you couldn't prove anyone right or wrong.
All the expertise was contained in the people involved with the conversation. I'm Peter.
And I'm Cecil. And we hope you enjoy our conversations. And as you listen, if you find yourself silently saying, "That don't sound right," leave us a comment. You're one of us. Enjoy the show. Hey, Camille.
Hey, Dad.
So you want to help me tonight introduce 2 new things for the podcast.
Sure.
So the first thing is we have a email where you can send us ideas or tell us if we were wrong or explain things to us. And what's the email address?
That is tdsrpodcast@gmail.com.
tdsrpodcast@gmail.com. Right. And where else can you find us?
You can also find us on Instagram, and that is TDSR Podcast.
Thanks.
You're welcome, Dad. I hope you enjoy the show.
Hey, welcome back to That Don't Sound Right. This is Cecil Davis.
Hey, and this is Peter Bielman.
So we're a podcast available on Podbean. We're tonight, I thought we'd talk about actually the subject that you had brought up.
Yes. Before we talk about that, I just want to give a shout out to about a couple of your prior episodes before I came on with Scott Greider talking about roadside finds and.
They were a lot of fun.
Oh yeah, I mean, I really appreciate that. There's actually 2 guys at my office who had a contest. Actually, it's a running contest. Who can find the most valuable?
Oh, we need to have them on.
Desirable.
Yeah.
And I actually emailed them the other day and asked them, so tell me, what were some of the good things that you found? So one of the ones I do remember them saying was that one guy showed up with a set of deer antlers.
Oh, nice.
I said, "You did not cut that off a dead deer, did you?"
Did it?
He did.
Yeah.
He hacksaw him right off a dead deer.
Now, did you tell them about the episodes?
I did. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
They
are you a roadside pickup guy?
Oh, yes. Oh, yeah. I am. And I had a very disappointing one the other day. I was on Country Club Road.
Yeah.
And I'd driven past it, taken one of the kids to school, and there was a ratchet strap.
Oh, yeah.
Red,
right.
Black hooks.
Well, you know, that's
your thing.
That's
your thing.
Yeah.
I went back for it, and it was there, but the cam buckle had been not the ratchet part had been driven over. It was damaged beyond repair. I was so disappointed.
Yeah. Once they get hit, it's hard to recover.
But I had a really disappointing one because I'm a big fan of the big trucker straps.
Well, that's Scott.
That's Scott's.
Yeah.
So I was on Interstate 40, where Interstate 40 comes and merges with 421.
Yes.
And there's a bunch of on-ramps and off-ramps. It's really hard to get to some of them. And I saw out of the corner of my eye this long yellow strip. I'm thinking, oh, man, that is a nice new one.
It's like a siren song.
And so, I mean, I had to drive out to Yadkinville and turn around, had to park on one side of the road, cross the other, and it wasn't what I thought it was.
Oh, man.
It was a big unwound thing of yellow.
Caution tape?
It wasn't caution tape. It was that yellow tape they use for sheetrock. It was just paper.
It's terrible. I didn't realize you were within the club.
Oh, yeah. My most favorite find is on Business 40 when they had the guardrails there in the middle. Mm-hmm. Stuck in the middle of the guardrails was a dumpster lid from a big, industrial dumpster. And you might ask, why would you go for a dumpster lid?
I can think of lots of reasons why.
Well, let me tell you why this thing, the dumpster lid, I learned from my days in college, the dumpster lid is the best multi-purpose sled there is.
Oh, yeah.
It holds a lot of people.
Yeah.
It's got those ridges on the bottom, so it slides through. It's rigid, and it goes fast.
Did you get it?
I did, yeah. I had it for many, many years.
Oh, yeah.
I eventually got, I think when we moved from this house to the other, I just, I'll find another one. They're all over the place.
Let me know if the guys listen to the podcast. I'd love to hear what they think.
I'll see what they think.
Yeah. They could actually come on the podcast.
We should have them as guests because they would have intriguing stories.
Yeah. So, anyways, you had something you had been thinking about.
Oh, well, so this past summer, our family went down to Disney and Universal, and we were riding on some roller coasters. And it's been many, many years since I've been on a roller coaster. And we got on the new one, which is the Velocicoaster.
Yes.
And Cecil, I'm used to roller coasters that they take you up and they drop you, and that's where
Right.
you get all your speed. They
Right.
give you potential energy at the top, and you just fly down this hill. The new coasters, they don't do that anymore.
Right.
Cecil, you started off horizontal, and they accelerated you from 0 to 50 in 4 seconds.
Almost like a Tesla.
Almost like a Tesla. And then,
How do they do that?
well, that's the question I was wondering. It was silent. So I almost feel
There's no chain?
there's no chain. It was a silent launch. I almost think it's electromagnetic. I think
This is my opportunity to say that don't sound right, but it that don't sound right.
and I mean, if it was driven by air, I would have thought I would have heard something.
Like a whoosh.
Yep, if it was driven by chain, I would have thought I would have felt something. But this was the smoothest launch. But, Cecil, on this roller coaster, they were doing things to me, and I was going through the loop-de-loops and the
Right.
corkscrews, and I'm thinking to myself, how are they doing this, and I'm not going to die in the next 3 seconds?
Right.
They had a corkscrew where you are essentially doing a barrel roll
Right.
at 53 miles an hour. 53 miles an hour barrel roll.
So you're in a full harness.
You're definitely in a full harness, and to be quite frank, my wife can only ride it once.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because it put a physical strain on her body. She was tired. She could not ride this ride again.
Well,
We got on it again, and then about the last 30 seconds of it, I'm thinking, I'm not sure if I'm going to hold my breakfast down because I've been spun around too many times consecutively.
Right.
But
At a high speed, because you're pulling some G's at that point, too.
yeah.
Gosh. I've not ridden that. That was the what?
It was called the Velocicoaster. Wow. And then at Universal they have another one called the Hulk. And this one, instead of taking you up to the top and dropping you, they take you up halfway and then they just shoot you out of this cannon. And again, it was silent, there was no chains. And then you come out of this tunnel and then you free fall.
Right.
And again, and I tried every possible way of bracing myself for this
Right.
multi-axis flip and turn.
Right.
There's nothing I could do. We rode it. We must have ridden it 10 times.
Oh, man.
And I just said, I'm just going to let myself go. And I think that's what the coaster designers want you to do is just let yourself go.
Or relax.
But man, it was.
Have you ridden ones where you don't have anything under your feet?
No, I haven't. No. Mm-mm.
I think one of the ones I was on in Six Flags was that way.
Okay.
You don't have
Okay.
anything under your feet. So all the carriage is above you. It's not below you.
Oh man.
Yeah. And they also have the ones where you lay horizontal.
I've seen those where you lay on your belly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And all the carriage. But so you didn't go back and look into how they accelerated you?
No, I
don't
never really. I don't know. I don't know. Both the Hulk and the Velocicoaster were silent, virtually silent when they launched you.
So like a bullet train, that's electromagnetic. Right?
Yep. Yeah.
So technology exists.
Oh yeah. It should.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, back when I was growing up, Carowinds was the big park in the Carolinas.
Sure.
And they had they had White Lightning.
Okay.
Yeah, White Lightning. And so they would do something similar, but I think it was chain driven.
Okay.
So
they launch it horizontally.
They would launch you horizontally into a loop.
Oh, okay.
And so that was the whole ride. It was one loop. And so you started off, they would launch you horizontally. You would immediately go into the loop, come out the other side of the loop, then you go backwards to the loop, and that was the ride.
Okay. What was it called?
White Lightning. Because the thing was, you were sitting there, it goes, lightning strikes, and then you take off and do the whole thing through the loop, and then it was done.
That sounds familiar. We had one at King's Dominion up in Virginia.
Yeah.
It was called the King Cobra.
Right.
Same kind of thing.
Yeah.
Flip you up once, you go up, and then you go backwards the other way.
Yeah, right. But it's also, that one took off really fast.
All right, it must have.
But,
Yeah,
but it was
didn't have a chain.
before
I mean, it didn't have-
electromagnetics.
Right, right.
Yeah, I feel like it was chain driven.
Must have been.
Yeah. So
Because you would have heard, I would have think you'd have heard air.
I don't think they would have. I don't think that technology existed back in the 80s.
Just compressed air?
No, I mean compressed air existed in the 80s. But
Compressed ozone, maybe.
right. I don't think they could have driven a coaster that way.
Maybe not. Catapults on the aircraft carriers, those are steam.
Are they?
That's how
I thought they were mechanical.
they're well, I mean, but they use
steam driven.
They're steam driven.
Right. I've never really thought about that.
I've never seen steam coming out of the Velocicoaster.
We'll have to go back and look it up. So, the last big ones I rode was at Six Flags, and I went back and rode one from my childhood called the All American Scream Machine.
Okay.
But that was a chain driven up to the top of a really tall
Sure,
hill, and
yeah.
then it was all gravity from there, for the most part.
It's a pretty wild thought on designing a roller coaster, of figuring out, okay, I can put this train this high, and then
Yeah.
how many loop-de-loops and drops can I get out of this amount of space?
They get a lot out of them.
They get a lot out of it. That's right.
But the one like you're talking about, is at some point you've got to start thinking about, am I slinging people around enough to like make them pass out?
I would think they have to make sure they have to keep it within a certain threshold,
Right.
or you would pass out.
Right.
I've never seen so many warnings about riding the ride. You know,
Right.
I mean, if you experience
Pacemakers,
this, if you
yeah.
experience that,
Right.
if low blood pressure, high blood pressure, you shouldn't ride this ride.
Right.
Yeah, they had a lot of warnings about this ride, and I can see why, because I don't know if my blood pressure was doing something, but at the end of the second time, I was done.
But you rode it 8 more times.
No. This is the Velocicoaster. We can only do it twice.
I got you.
We can only.
you can only do it twice.
No.
You
I could only handle it twice in a
Right,
row.
yeah.
And then the line started getting long. It was very popular.
Well, the thing that hurts me on the newer rides now, where you have to really be harnessed in,
Yeah.
is the harness, because of my height.
Oh, right.
So when they clamp down on you, that stuff really
They
clamps
got you
down
on your
my
shoulders. Yeah.
yeah.
I imagine that hurts.
Because it's one size fits all. For the
Yeah,
most
that's
part.
right.
Yeah. And so it really works on me. I mean, one ride, and I'm usually
You're good.
yeah. I mean, not one coaster. I do multiple coasters, but it's just I can't go back on that same.
No, that makes sense. That makes sense. I don't have that problem.
But
I am the one size that fits all.
right, you're the size that designed it for.
That's right.
Yeah. I almost feel like we need a sign off for these things, like Click and Clack used to do, where you say, "Well, once again, you've wasted another perfectly good
That's
hour."
right. Well, I don't know if you've noticed that I've referenced our 12 listeners
Yes.
every episode, so
Yeah.
maybe they have a
Thank
suggestion
you.
for us.
Well, so Ellen and I used to always thank Scott Grider, so maybe we should thank Scott.
Hey,
for listening.
Scott Grider, thanks a lot.
Thanks for listening. First listener, number one listener. All right, I'm Cecil. This is
Peter Millen.
thank y'all for being here.